buddy.
Hello, everyone. I'm joined right now by Reginald after his team has finished first in the split once more. Parthenon giving him a funny look. All right. Anyway, so you've gotten first once more. What is it about TSM that allows you guys to always finish so strongly every split?
I mean, in terms of the season standings, it actually hasn't been for a while that we've taken first. Or actually, technically, I'm not actually sure what our placement was last season. Do you remember?
Well, I don't know, but you always finish really high, and then you often win the finals.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest reasons why we do well is our team culture. A lot of teams make roster decisions based on like short-term decision making, right? Like they try to pick up the best player for that specific role at that specific time, despite them not fitting well with their team culture. And for TSM, we try to create a culture that's really team oriented, that players feel really comfortable around each other, and that they're always improving. And it's not really necessarily focused on an individual player. Like someone like just say like Bjergsen or Doublelift that are superstar players that are known to be superstar players, but like behind the scenes they're actually really good guys, and they're really focused on the team, and they really don't like focus on their own ego. Versus like other teams that have superstars, they're more about themselves. They focus on their lane. They focus on getting them ahead versus having the team improve, and focused on like the team getting ahead. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah. Now, there's this kind of meme that every split, TSM starts to go like this, and then Andy Din steps in and then rights the ship and helps them. Did that happen this split? Because I didn't hear anybody talk about it.
Yeah, so I for this split, I was a lot more hands off this split comparative to other splits. For this split specifically, I went to only a couple LCS games, and I would talk to Parth online at a high level, but I do contribute a lot of this split success to Parth and the players. For this split's playoffs, though, it actually looks really competitive, and and what that means is that I am gonna be helping the team a lot more within the next couple weeks for playoffs at least.
Okay. Now, what do you think, given how competitive everybody is right now, that North America's chances are at Worlds this year? Because obviously it hasn't been so great recently. Yeah. But do you think that the competitiveness between all the playoff teams is a good sign?
Honestly, it's hard to tell because we went to Europe, right? And at Rift Rivals, we did really well. But I think that since we've got back from the Rift Rivals and this new patch is introduced, our level of play has dropped a lot. And that could be something that's global, where all the teams are thrown off of what they're used to, and so everyone's level of play went down, right? Because when there's a patch that's introduced, you have to learn a lot of new things, like when you can push towers, how strong your champions are, and really getting the right base timings depending on the champion matchups, and throwing all those things in together. It really throws off your macro play from like when can you do Baron with these champions to when can you siege and whatnot. So it's a huge reset. So I wouldn't really contribute our Rift Rivals success to how well we do internationally. I think that by having this big patch, it actually evens the playing field with North America and Europe. From a Korea and China standpoint, I don't think that we're super worried about China. I think that if anything, we're worried about Korea. And in terms of how well we'll do at this Worlds, I think that semis is a good goal. I think that we can achieve that if we continue with the path we're headed now.
Now, shifting gears away from the team and more towards the organization, there's this wonderful thing where every couple of weeks we get to see Immortals be like, these are our new sports friends, and CLG be like, these are our new sports friends, and everybody's wondering, the hottest question right now, the biggest gossip is, who is TSM going to get married with to enter the LCS? And so I'm curious, I'm sure you can't talk about active business negotiations or anything like that, but are you looking for anything like that? I mean, what do you think of all the conversation around, what TSM's situation is?
Yeah, so in terms of investment and partners for the LCS franchise, we did send in an application a few weeks ago, and we're hoping that we do make it in. In terms of finding a partner for the LCS, we're talking to quite a few parties. There's a handful of teams there's a handful of people that have reached out to us, primarily because most teams have been invested into, and we're really attractive because we're still independently owned. From a TSM standpoint, though, we're looking at more of like a minority deal than more so than like a majority deal. So you're not going to see like a major organization come in and just control TSM and change the way we run our organization, run our team, and whatnot. A lot of that's still going to be on me and our management team. But we're definitely out there looking. There could be a possibility where we just, we get into the franchise ourselves first, and then depending on how it goes afterwards, we can find a partner that can really help us with our vision. Yeah. So there's like all sorts of things that can happen. It's not definitive that we will find a partner. It really depends. If we find the right guy or the right person, whoever it is, then and it makes sense for us, then we will we'll look to do that. But otherwise, if it doesn't make sense, then we're not going to do that.
Your investment situation sounds a lot like my job situation. I'm talking to different people. I might get a job here. Maybe I don't need a job. I can just do freelance. Who knows? It's an interesting time, I think, for both of us. It's about the same level of money, too, I'm sure, right? The investment versus my job. That's about right?
No. It's definitely a big step forward for esports and our organization for sure. And it's actually really interesting. I'm super excited. The people that are entering esports are way better than the people that have been in esports the last year or the year before that. And the level of competition, the people involved are definitely better and better every year. So that's actually something really exciting for me, at least, because not only do I get to work with these people and learn from them, but I also get to compete against them. And it's a lot more fun when things are actually competitive, and so I'm super excited for this playoffs too, because it seems honestly a lot more difficult than previous playoffs, just because how serious everyone's taking it. CLG's good, C9's really good, Dig's good. Every single team that's going to playoffs this year, they're fairly good compared to other playoffs where there's like 3 or 4 good teams, and that everyone else is just there to be there more so. So I mean, I'm excited.
Hey, I know you are really good friends with Steve, and I'm sure we're both paid by Steve, but I'd like to ask you a little bit about what your thoughts are on Team Liquid's situation, because it's pretty tough, and you as a guy standing on the sidelines and being friends with Steve, like how what is your impression on all this stuff?
I mean, from what angle, right? Like them doing bad, or is there anything specific?
It's just obvious. Okay, obviously, I feel like they're kind of bleeding fans. People see them making all these roster changes all the time, and obviously, there's talks of a lot of money being thrown around because even the paid by Steve meme is literally about him spending money. So it's a very different situation than TSM, and so as somebody who's been in this league for a long time, what do you think of Steve's situation? Okay. Do you think that the fans are kind of right that the shit's like a shit show, or do you think that Steve is playing 3D chess here? I mean, what do you think's going on? So
I'm about to give you the most real answer ever.
Okay.
It's kind of be hurtful to the TL organization, but I think that I think for one, them being talked about and these memes being created for them is actually a pretty positive thing, because before, right, I would say that the teams that are talked about in North America are TSM, Cloud9, CLG, and TL just kind of there, like as a 4th place team. They weren't ever really relevant. Yeah. And so I don't see this as a case of them losing fans, but like this is probably the time where they're more talked about than ever, right? Have you ever seen outside of the HCC meme, have you really ever seen like TL talked about in every single thread, talked about in every single interview? Yeah. Even like in a TSM interview with Reginald, you're like talking about Steve, right? So I think that if Steve can turn around his organization and start doing really well, then he's going to capture a lot more eyeballs, versus before, if Steve did well, TL just did well. Like there was a split when under Curse they took first, right? But people didn't really care that they were first place at that time. It was just like, oh, TL is just first place. And there's been several splits actually through the season where TL has done really well, but has came unnoticed just because their players are honestly pretty boring. And but they're good. They don't really have personality, and they don't really engage with the community. So I think that like from like a gossip standpoint and a PR standpoint, it's not so bad that they're losing and being talked about. It's way better to be in their position than to be in like an Echo Fox or a P1 or a FlyQuest situation, right? Like everyone's one game apart literally, but everyone's talking about TL and bashing on them and making fun of them. But when they do win, now everyone's like, oh look, they had a complete turnaround next split. Right. Like they were garbage, and they turned everything around. They're back in third and fourth place. Now it's all of a sudden a really positive thing for them to be in third and fourth.
Yeah.
But if you look at it realistically, I think FlyQuest is 1 game away from TL. Envy is like 2 games. Like they're not that much better than TL. So like that's my opinion from like a public standpoint.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's probably a different opinion than most other people. And then like from a roster, like do you want me to analyze like their roster or like?
No, I mean you don't have to. I mean, I guess we'll shorten the question down to also what do you think of them sort of getting all this talent, like bringing Dardoch back? Like it does seem like their roster is kind of crazy, and I'm sure they're not. You would probably not make those same decisions. So what do you think of that at least?
Yeah, I wouldn't make the same decisions because at that point I would just go in and play, dude. Just kidding. But honestly, it really depends on at what point where I can be involved, right, in the TL organization. So, and I don't see bringing in Dardoch as a bad scenario because they can play Mickey, and if you do see on stage, right, Mickey's playing really well. He's winning his lane every single time. He's up in CS. He's actually playing really well. I don't think that Piglet is actually living up to his expectation as like a world-class AD carry. He should be playing a lot better. He didn't play that. I would say that he's not playing super well right now. Yeah. And I would say that he's kind of letting his organization down in that sense because he's not living up to his expectations. Right. From getting a Dardoch standpoint, it really gives them more options to not use Golden Glue. And Golden Glue hasn't shown much progress despite how many games he's played. That's why they had to go with a more superior mid laner. Going into promotion relegations, it's gonna be tricky for them. And if I were in their case, I would definitely have gotten Dardoch for sure, just because it just gives the organization more options. Yeah. And it's been proven weeks and weeks that what they're doing with Golden Glue isn't working with Golden Glue and Rainover, right? So by the time playoffs comes, promotion relegations comes, they will have the ultimate option to choose the team that they think is best. So. Yeah. More options is better than just, having one. So, yeah.
Andy, is there anything you would like to say to any of the TSM fans?
Not necessarily. I mean, thanks, guys, for supporting us through all these years. It's been an exciting road for me, especially in esports. I mean, I'm saying this as if I'm going to leave esports or something. Yeah. But, yeah, thanks.
It was good having you here, man. It was great. I'm glad I could do your last interview.
Yeah, thanks for supporting us. I mean, thanks to our fans, our sponsors. Thanks, Travis, for, being a part of esports. I'm just super excited for, this playoffs in general because it's like it is really the last playoffs before franchising, and there's going to be all these new faces and all these new people. And so I'm just super excited. I'm glad we finished first, but as I've said before, season standings don't really matter that much. Envious or Dignitas can easily come in and win the whole thing. So we're very much taking it one step at a time, and we're focused on we're just focused on every match. We're focused on semifinals. It's going to be really hard. There could be a case where we don't even win semis and we go to the gauntlet because Cloud9 wins it. Yeah. So they beat us and they take second. We can easily win the gauntlet. So there's still a really tough road ahead for us. Yeah.
Surprised there's no TSM store shout out.
Yeah, TSM store. Let's go.
Thanks so much for the interview. You can check out the rest of our coverage of all things League of Legends, esports, and more right here on my YouTube channel. Hey, everyone. I want to thank you for subscribing to my channel. Wait, you haven't subscribed yet? Oh, that's Hanser. All right. Well, anyway, if you haven't subscribed, you should definitely do that. Otherwise, Hanser will attack you. And also feel free to support me over at travisgaffer.com/support.